Well, hello and welcome to our holiday special for TopMedTalk. I'm Desiree Chappell, and I'm joined by our editor-in-chief, Monty Mythen. Hello, Monty, part two.
Part two. So normally
Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas.
Merry Christmas. This all feels a bit weird because we're recording this all quite early to work around the COVID thing. But you've managed to put a Christmas tree up in the background there, Desiree.
I did.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. It's really funny, Monty, actually. And we'll share some pictures up on the podcast. But for this year, I was really convinced I wasn't going to do a tree because, hell, it's 2020, right? And the kids really wanted it. I said, okay, whatever we can get up on the tree in an hour is what we're gonna take it. So we managed. We got some, Christmas ornaments to bowls.
If that's real, it looks great.
I know it is real. It's legitimate. So whatever you're doing for the holidays to decorate, minimalist versus going all out, more power to you.
Or however you celebrate or whenever you celebrate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Happy. Well done for getting close to the end of this year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, Monty, diving right back in. So in May, we were wrapping up some of the COVID conversations that we were having by doing a little mini series in conjunction with the Macmillan Cancer Trust. And Nick, you actually did these. They turned out really, really well and very different for TopMedTalk. They were patient facing.
Yeah, these pieces were really interesting because they applied what I'd learned here at TopMedTalk over the last year or so, in that they are largely about prehabilitation and preparing for an operation. Yeah, this was a great little series, and I highly recommend people listen to it because I get to talk on it.
Little shameless promotion there. That's okay. It's all good. Well, Monty, so we were wrapping up COVID. It looked like things were we were getting kind of back to normal-ish, starting to resume elective cases, and really kind of felt like we were moving in a good direction. So we really had to start working on EbPom London because we decided to pivot pretty early, didn't we?
Well, we're, I'd say 8 to 10 years into trying to promote the idea of carbon-friendly conferencing. So we were very well prepared and trying to drag people kicking and screaming into this virtual space, or at least a hybrid space.
Yeah.
So I thought that we were very well positioned to go for it. And it seemed appropriate. We had everything teamed up and everything ready. So we advertised our EbPom London meeting, and we got a very pleasant surprise.
We did. Monty, tell how many people did we have register for our very first virtual?
About 8,000, which is, incredible, considering it's normally a relatively boutique meeting. It's been going for over 20 years in central London. The biggest we've ever had is about 800 or 900. Usually it made 400 or 500, which is perfect for the type of meeting. But we put out the message, and we got from around the world. And it was true engagement. When we look at the online Q&A system on day one, which was about prehabilitation, we had more than 5,000 people asking questions on our online Q&A system. So well done, team. Took a crazy amount of preparation, putting up green screens, lights, because obviously we were still social distancing, but we worked with some great crews, and it was brilliant.
And a big shout out to them, which, Monty, what was the last, 2 years of EbPom, we have transmitted those either via a live stream that we had just voice, or actually our last EbPom meeting, or our EbPom Dallas meeting, I think we actually had video.
Yeah, we did. We live streamed some of that, but basically we made a decision a few years ago at the beginning of TopMedTalk to live audio broadcast and then secondarily podcast everything. So all the content of the EbPom meetings has been free open access for a couple of years now. Yeah. But this was the full segue into the full let's call it the TV experience.
And it really was. I think that's what really took it to the next level. And the lack of sleep for the entire month of May and June was just the preparations for that in the setting of COVID, which, lack of travel. You couldn't get anything on Amazon at the time.
We learned a lot. We have a beautiful radio studio there in West London that, Nick was in on a very regular basis when all that stuff was allowed. But suddenly we had to pop up this TV studio. And a great shout out to the team who pulled the platform together and the team that did the filming, the lighting, the audio, and all socially distanced. So with a combination of robots and, one camera person. And so it went on.
Well, Monty, I want to get your perspective on the meeting, because I know this is something, again, you just said you've been working on for so many years. And, we'd seen a lot of, webinar type meetings, or where it was kind of, just a Zoom call. But I feel like, once we said we were, going to do this, it was like all in. And this was just not your typical meeting.
So we didn't want, everyone was zoomed out by that stage, I think, and teamed out. So we didn't want another, Zoom chat. So we wanted it to be a 3-dimensional TV type of show within the constraints I said of using robots and remote teams and no more than 3 people in the studio, let's call it performing. So a lot of preparation for remote recording, and then a lot of coordination to bring people in for live conversations, combined with the Pockapalooza idea that I'll come back to, and combined with the fact that we thought we were ready for everyone to have a bit of a party. So we also organized, raising money for charity, more than 20 live acts to rotate through the studio and get recorded over a number of days.
Looking back on it, Monty, I can't believe we did it, because it was a monumental task. Just putting all the different, it's like we had 3 different types of events going on at the same time. So you kind of had the Ebb Palm entertainment. I was doing Pockapalooza and recording all of our conversations.
We should probably explain a bit more about Pockapalooza.
I know. So that was the I always call it the brainchild. When we were having a discussion, and we've talked about this for over a year now, of wanting to have an event where we get to talk to people from all over the world within a 24-hour period. So it's kind of like the Live Aid. We just keep going and do a fundraiser for that. And so we basically called up our friends around the world and said, hey, you want to participate in Pockapalooza? And their first answer was yes, but what in the world is Pockapalooza? So that is perioperative care. And the Palooza is a festival. So the Perioperative Care Festival. And we wanted to make things fun. We wanted to change it up a little bit and just do some really great conversation that, helped take our minds off COVID for a little while and really kind of get back to our roots of, what we're doing, why we're doing it. We kind of pivoted a little bit off the International Board of Perioperative Medicine and brought all these great people together. And we literally did 24 hours around the world. And so I was in Louisville at the time. You were in London, and we stayed up and did all these great conversations.
In Cape Town. Mm-hmm. So Cape Town, correct me if I'm wrong, Cape Town, London, Chicago, San Francisco, Australia, back into Sydney, then back into Hong Kong, then back to Cape Town.
Yeah.
Every 4 hours, which when we were planning it seemed like for some reason a good idea. I ended up sleeping on the floor in the boardroom at 1010 Great West Road, because there's no point in trying to go home for a few hours to do the next. So it seemed like a good idea to do it live as well.
It was. Well, Monty, tell me, we'll tell our listeners about our why we chose to start in Cape Town and that whole story, because that actually was very pre-COVID.
Well, so we made a commitment to support the African Perioperative Research Group. And why don't we, probably best if we let the local team explain what that's all about.
Yeah, let's have a listen to this.
I heard Rupert present USOS at EBBOM. I was blown away by it. I just loved the pragmatism. I spoke to Rupert about it. He shared the protocol, and we ran it in South Africa, and that was called SASOS. And then he was at that time doing ISOS, and then we said we wanted to do ASOS, which is like an African ISOS. And basically, very pragmatic research. It's got 2 pages of a CRF. The 1 page is just a very basic demographic and risk factor type variables. And the 2nd page were surgical complications. And we literally built a network, and we cold called across Africa. We sent emails. We just made contact with people we knew. And every time we got a response, we asked to be introduced to other people. And if we got a response in French, we went straight to Google Translate and quickly worked it out and responded in French. And it was amazing. It's quite emotional material when you find a signal that people are twice as likely to die if they have surgery in Africa than elsewhere. That's super sensitive, super emotional. It could be really handled badly. I think it was handled beautifully by the Lancet in a very mature way. The message was clear. The reason for the message, we're almost certain it's a human factor thing, that we just don't have enough human resources. And patients are missed in the post-op period, and there's failure to rescue. So there's a really useful signal. I think the whole thing was really good. And the amazing thing is it built this network of like-minded people across Africa. So really, if you talk about ASOS, you're talking about 1,000 people across Africa who are just working clinicians who believe in research, who want to make a difference, who have limited resources, but they believe they've got the power to do it. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
So we asked people to donate. And, we set a target and we got some T-shirts printed and we managed to raise around $10,000 which is, we'll explain more about that in the future, about how that's going to support the wonderful work in Africa. So, Desiree, why don't you lead off by taking us quickly around the world? We'll challenge Nick to do a mashup here of a quick bit of each venue that we said hello to. So we'll rapidly get all those voices. Out of the TopMedTalk studios in Brentford.
First guest today, we have Paul Miles from Monash University.
Desiree, it's wonderful to hear from you.
I'm in Cape Town. I'd like to introduce Salome Mazwemi.
Hi, thank you very much. Really excited to be part of this.
We traveled around the world and we now find ourselves in beautiful, sunny California in LA. Professor Carol Peden from Keck Medical Center of the University of Southern California and Professor Lee Fleischer from the University of Pennsylvania. Both thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Desiree.
Pleasure, Desiree.
And our next stop is in the Down Under, Australia and New Zealand, with none other than the father of perioperative medicine and his amazing colleagues there, Ross Carriage. Did I get it right, Ross?
There's a loose connection with the facts there somewhere, I'm sure.
So you can find all of the Pockapalooza on TopMedTalk. So if you want to listen to it, it actually is really fun to listen to it in sequence. So phenomenal conversations, really, really good. So we did Pockapalooza, and that was our, we actually ended EBPOM with that. Actually, it was very non-traditional, right? We didn't actually have lectures during the
No,
meeting.
we did all panel discussions. So we did pre-recorded lectures, which are still available online via various different e-learning platforms that we have available. And then we pivoted all off panel discussions with good length breaks in between and some great plenary lectures as well. But we broadly divided the meeting. We wanted to be upbeat and not very COVID. So we divided it into prehabilitation, sort of classical EBPOM in the middle section that did concentrate on the development of surgical, critical care, enhanced care in the now starting wake of COVID. And for day 3, we celebrated the Centre for Perioperative Care, which was the springboard for the Pockapalooza. So if you haven't had a chance to listen, please do listen to that broad range of lectures that are freely available on TopMedTalk.
Monty, just off the top of your head, favorite lecture / panel from the meeting? I know.
Well, I say favorite lecture I'm going to go for, we started with it with the year, was Guy Ludbrook's plenary lecture about the global pandemic of post-operative morbidity. So if we could just play a little clip. And Guy that day had actually just given one of the first vaccines, because he runs a sort of a test unit there, one of the first vaccines in Australia.
But we gave the first dose of a new COVID vaccine to a patient today, which drew a lot of attention. And look, I hope it's one of the things that helps get us all going again, economically, health-wise, and so on. Will it work? We don't know. Will a vaccine work? We don't know, but we have to try, and that's what we're doing today.
And did you have any particular favorite, Desiree, that you can remember?
I really did like the all the prehab conversation, but I had to say, I love the entertainment, Monty. It was so good. I did yoga I watched the cooking class and the concert by Jeremy Sassoon was fantastic.
Sprinkle my ashes on Frenchman Street. Don't be upset at the news.
So after Ed Palm, what happened?
we did actually take a little bit of time off. It felt like about sort of 48 hours. And we started to prepare for, because now we thought, well, we're into this now. We've done Ed Palm.
Yeah, we got to do it.
We've done Apocapalooza.
Keep going.
We've got to deliver on Chicago, Ed Palm USA, and Ed Palm Ireland in Dingle. Oh. So we got straight back into the next round of planning. We'd caught we'd had one virus, and now we'd caught another one.
We did catch the virus. But we sprinkled in there, we did partner with the AANA this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Again. And unfortunately, we couldn't go to San Diego to their meeting in person. But we were able to record 7 or 8 really, really good conversations with CRNAs across the U.S. Again, like what we got last year, it's just some really interesting topics that are maybe a little bit, off piece for us normally or different than what we normally do on TopMedTalk, but really, really good conversation. So I urge you to listen to the AANA conversations and thank them for that support again.
The favorite clip from that?
I have to tell you, the one that I learned the most on was about vaping. It really opened my eyes to some of the negative effects, especially with our kiddos.
Electronic cigarettes are really aimed at 2 populations. And there is, with one population being what you had mentioned, the pre-existing smoker who is attempting to quit or wean. There was initially the thought that, okay, maybe this is not a bad idea. The second population would be the never smoker. And in truth, what the statistics indicate is that really is who many of these are aimed towards. And we're talking about middle school children, and on up that we're seeing usage of electronic cigarettes. Very concealable.
Yeah.
The smoke, the odor is not there like it is with the cigarette. It's a completely different profile. And this isn't something that is new either. I think we've seen it surge in the last 5 years. That's what what most of the research indicates is in the last 5 years, you've really seen it spike.
And so it made me think a lot, but there's some really cool topics. We talked about gender diversity in practice, and ketamine clinics, all kinds of good stuff. And we will be coming to you on a holiday that I still not really sure I understand, for Boxing Day, right? St. Stephen's, Nick?
In England, we need a day's rest after we've had a day's celebration, whatever it is.
Well, I think that kind of wraps up our summer for TopMedTalk in 2020.
TopMedTalk. Thanks for downloading TopMedTalk. Don't forget to subscribe via your podcatcher. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And also, don't forget, TopMedTalk is the broadcasting arm of EdPom, evidence-based perioperative medicine. We'd love you to find out more about that. If you check out edpom.org, you can find low prices on some of the conferences we're organising around the world. Many of them are virtual and don't even involve you leaving your own home. Check out edpom.org now.